Yeah, now kiss. Now off you go. Off you go, Esme.
You little spying hyena.
The professor put you up to this.
The professor I want to tell you about. You were right.
The depths of the ocean churn with terror as the massive tentacles of a giant squid wrap around the Nautilus, its deadly beak aimed at the crew fighting desperately on the submarine's deck. This iconic battle, filmed in a specially constructed tank on the Disney lot, wasn't just another movie scene. It was a cinematic breakthrough that pushed the boundaries of what filmmaking could achieve in 1954. Walt Disney's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea emerged during a pivotal moment in Hollywood history. Television was rapidly stealing audiences away from theaters, and studios were searching for spectacular experiences that could lure viewers back to the big screen.
About the flapping fish and the girls I love, on nights like this with the moon above.
Disney, primarily known for animation at the time, took an extraordinary gamble by investing a staggering $5 million, equivalent to over $50 million today, into this ambitious live-action adaptation of Jules Verne's classic novel. The risk paid off spectacularly. The film grossed more than $28 million at the worldwide box office and won 2 Academy Awards. But its true achievement can't be measured in dollars or statuettes alone. 20,000 Leagues represented something far more significant, a revolutionary fusion of literary adaptation, cutting-edge practical effects, and bold artistic vision that would forever change the landscape of adventure filmmaking. In an era before computer graphics, before green screens became commonplace, Disney and director Richard Fleischer accomplished what many considered impossible. They took audiences on a believable journey beneath the waves in Captain Nemo's fantastic submarine. They created a world of wonder that feels tactile and real nearly 7 decades later, when many modern blockbusters with $100 million budgets have already faded from memory. Today, we'll dive deep into how this Victorian science fiction tale was transformed into one of cinema's most enduring adventures, exploring the innovative techniques, memorable performances, and lasting legacy of a film that continues to captivate audiences in the 21st century. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea wasn't just a film. It was a technical battleground where Disney's most innovative minds were tasked with solving problems no filmmaker had conquered before. The most formidable challenge: how to create convincing underwater sequences in an era when such filming was still in its infancy. Disney assembled a specialized underwater filming unit led by cinematographer Till Gabani, who developed custom waterproof housings for the massive CinemaScope cameras. The team conducted extensive tests in the Caribbean before constructing enormous water tanks on the Disney lot. This pioneering work established techniques that would influence underwater filming for decades to come. At the heart of the film's visual identity stands Harper Goff's revolutionary design for the Nautilus submarine. Rejecting Verne's original description of a sleek, cylindrical vessel, Goff created something far more menacing. A Victorian-era ironclad, reimagined as a submarine, complete with riveted metal plates, an alligator-like ram bow, and ornate viewing windows that resembled sinister eyes. This distinctive steampunk aesthetic, created years before the term existed, influenced countless designs across film, literature, and art. The actual Nautilus sets were constructed at full scale with functioning mechanisms and intricate details that immersed actors in Nemo's world. The film's most memorable sequence, the battle with the giant squid, exemplifies the production's commitment to practical innovation. The scene was initially filmed in a calm, daylight setting, but Disney himself was dissatisfied with the results. In a bold move that added $200,000 to the already substantial budget, he ordered the entire sequence reshot at night during a raging storm. This decision required developing new techniques for filming miniatures through artificial rain and wind, while the squid itself was a marvel of mechanical engineering, a fully articulated creature operated by a team of puppeteers using hydraulics and cables. The film's art direction extended beyond the Nautilus to create an entire underwater world. Production designer John Meehan crafted elaborate sets for the mysterious island of Vulcania and Nemo's exotic underwater gardens. These settings were enhanced by pioneering special effects work that combined matte paintings, practical elements, and innovative compositing techniques to create seamless underwater vistas. Perhaps most impressive was the film's use of the relatively new CinemaScope widescreen format. 20,000 Leagues was among Disney's first productions to employ this technology, which presented unique challenges for underwater filming and special effects work. Director Richard Fleischer masterfully utilized the expanded canvas to capture both the claustrophobic interior of the Nautilus and the vast expanses of the 19th century ocean, creating a visual language that alternated between confinement and boundless freedom, mirroring the film's thematic exploration of Nemo's complex character. The technical achievements of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea would have been mere spectacle without the remarkable cast that brought emotional depth to Jules Verne's characters. At the center of the film stands James Mason's captivating performance as Captain Nemo, a portrayal that transformed Verne's enigmatic anti-hero into one of cinema's most compelling characters. Mason brought a sophisticated gravitas to Nemo, portraying him not as a one-dimensional villain, but as a tortured genius whose rage against imperialism and warfare stemmed from profound personal trauma. His refined British accent and dignified bearing created a stark contrast with his character's violent vendetta against warships. In the film's most powerful scene, Mason reveals Nemo's backstory with restrained emotion, explaining how his family was tortured and killed by colonial powers who sought his scientific knowledge. This humanizing moment, delivered with Mason's characteristic intensity, elevates the entire film from adventure to tragedy. Providing the perfect counterbalance to Mason's cerebral Nemo is Kirk Douglas as the boisterous harpooner, Ned Land. Douglas, fresh off his success in The Bad and the Beautiful, brought remarkable physical dynamism to the role. His shirtless fight scenes and acrobatic stunts, many performed by Douglas himself, established a new standard for action heroes. Douglas also contributed unexpected musical charm with his memorable rendition of A Whale of a Tale, a sequence that showcased his versatility as a performer. The friction between Douglas's freedom-loving sailor and Mason's vengeful captain creates the dramatic tension that drives much of the narrative. Peter Lorre's performance as Conseil, assistant to Professor Aronnax, added crucial moments of both comic relief and genuine wonder. Lorre's distinctive appearance and delivery style brought warmth and humanity to what could have been a forgettable supporting role. His wide-eyed reactions to the underwater marvels serve as a surrogate for the audience's own sense of discovery. Paul Lucas rounded out the principal cast as Professor Pierre Aronnax, bringing intellectual credibility to the scientific elements of the story. The Hungarian-born actor's European sensibility complemented the film's international flavor, reinforcing Verne's original vision of a story that transcended national boundaries. The performances were made all the more impressive by the challenging filming conditions. The actors endured countless hours in water tanks and heavy diving gear, with Douglas later recalling that the antique-style diving suits weighed nearly 200 pounds. Mason, who suffered from claustrophobia, found the underwater sequences particularly difficult, but channeled this discomfort into Nemo's complex psychology. The film's adaptation of Verne's story made significant changes to appeal to Cold War audiences. Screenwriters Earl Felton and Richard Fleischer expanded Nemo's backstory and shifted his motivations to focus more explicitly on the horrors of warfare, a resonant theme in the atomic age. This reimagining of Nemo as a man traumatized by imperialism and dedicated to destroying the weapons of war added contemporary relevance while maintaining the spirit of Verne's critique of 19th century colonial powers. When 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea premiered at New York's Astor Theater in December 1954, critics and audiences alike were immediately captivated by its technical achievements, though initial reactions to its storytelling were more varied. The New York Times praised the film's elaborate visual effects, but found some of the narrative elements juvenile, a common criticism aimed at Disney's early live-action adventures. However, the public voted decisively with their wallets. The film became one of the highest-grossing releases of 1954, eventually earning over $28 million, a staggering sum that validated Disney's massive investment. The Academy recognized the film's technical innovations with Oscars for Best Art Direction and Best Special Effects, cementing its reputation as a landmark achievement in visual storytelling. What's fascinating about 20,000 Leagues is how its critical assessment evolved over time. Initially viewed primarily as a technical showcase, the film gradually earned recognition for its thematic depth and performances. By the 1970s, film scholars were reassessing James Mason's portrayal of Nemo as one of cinema's most complex anti-hero performances, while the film's environmental message and anti-war themes resonated with new generations during the Vietnam era. The film's journey through different formats and releases tells its own compelling story. When television broadcasts of the film began in the 1960s, the CinemaScope widescreen image was severely cropped, removing nearly half the visual information and compromising many of Fleischer's carefully composed shots. It wasn't until the 1980s Laserdisc release that home viewers could finally experience something closer to the theatrical presentation. Disney's 2003 DVD restoration represented another milestone, with technicians painstakingly repairing damage and color fading that had affected the film over decades. A particularly fascinating aspect of the film's evolution involves the giant squid battle, the very sequence that Walt Disney had insisted on reshooting. When footage from the original, scrapped daylight version was discovered in Disney's archives in the 1990s, it revealed an entirely different approach to the scene. This lost version featured a calmer sea and different choreography, lacking the dramatic storm that made the final version so memorable. The discovery provided a remarkable glimpse into Disney's perfectionism and artistic instincts. Among the film's most intriguing hidden details is the Nautilus's organ scene, where Nemo plays box, toccata, and fugue in D minor. The haunting sequence used a specially constructed pipe organ that was fully functional, with Mason actually playing simplified passages during filming. The organ's Gothic design incorporated elements of marine biology, with pipes shaped like twisted coral formations, a subtle detail that reinforced Nemo's connection to the ocean. Another overlooked element was the film's historically accurate depiction of 19th century diving equipment. The production team studied period designs and created functional recreations that closely matched the technology available in Verne's era. This attention to historical detail stands in stark contrast to other Verne adaptations of the period, such as Journey to the Center of the Earth, 1959, which took far greater liberties with its period setting. Nearly 7 decades after its release, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea continues to exert a profound influence on filmmaking and popular culture that extends far beyond its immediate success. The film's groundbreaking underwater photography established techniques that would become standard practice in subsequent productions. James Cameron, whose own fascination with the deep sea has defined much of his career, has repeatedly acknowledged the film's influence on works like The Abyss and Titanic. The practical effects solutions developed for 20,000 Leagues created a template that filmmakers would follow for decades, with echoes visible in everything from Jacques Cousteau's documentaries to Pixar's Finding Nemo. But perhaps the most visually significant aspect of the film's legacy is Harper Goff's revolutionary Nautilus design. This biomechanical marvel, with its riveted hull and menacing silhouette, effectively created the visual language of steampunk decades before the term existed. Its influence is unmistakable in films like The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, countless video games, and even modern theme park attractions. When Disney opened its Mysterious Island attraction at Tokyo Disney Sea in 2001, the Nautilus design remained remarkably faithful to Gough's original vision, testament to its enduring power. The film's thematic concerns have proven equally prescient. Captain Nemo's warnings about the destructive potential of advanced technology and humanity's exploitation of natural resources resonate even more powerfully in our era of climate change and environmental degradation. His line, "The sea is everything. It is an immense desert where man is never alone, for he feels life quivering on all sides," captures a conservationist ethos that anticipated the modern environmental movement. The film's anti-war message, with Nemo's horror at seeing his scientific discoveries weaponized, speaks directly to our ongoing ethical debates about technological advancement. What's particularly remarkable about 20,000 Leagues is how well its practical effects hold up in comparison to modern CGI spectacles. While contemporary blockbusters often create entire worlds digitally, there's a tangible quality to Disney's 1954 creation that continues to captivate audiences. The physical presence of the Nautilus model cutting through actual water creates a visceral impact that purely digital creations struggle to match. This tactile quality explains why filmmakers like Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve have returned to practical effects for many sequences, recognizing what Disney understood 7 decades ago, that physical reality carries a weight that digital simulation cannot replicate. In an age when remakes and reboots dominate studio release schedules, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea remains a tantalizing opportunity and challenge. Despite numerous announced projects, including versions from directors like David Fincher and producers like James Cameron, no modern adaptation has successfully made it to production. Perhaps this speaks to the intimidating shadow cast by the 1954 version, or perhaps to the extraordinary difficulty of improving upon what many consider a perfect realization of Verne's vision. So what draws us back to this Victorian submarine after all these years? Perhaps it's the timeless appeal of exploration, the allure of venturing into unknown worlds. Or perhaps it's Captain Nemo himself, the brilliant, tortured scientist whose rage against imperialism and warfare feels increasingly relevant in our troubled times. Whatever the reason, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea remains not just a landmark of cinema history, but a living work of art that continues to inspire wonder and imagination in new generations of viewers. If you've enjoyed diving into the depths of this Disney classic, be sure to subscribe for more explorations of cinema's most influential achievements. What other pioneering special effects films would you like to see analyzed in future episodes? Share your thoughts in the comments below.